Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Perry. I was born on September 21st, 1987 in Twin Falls, Idaho. I am currently 32 years old, a mom of 4 boys, and married to the love of my life for the last 12 years. Hopefully this slideshow shows you a little bit and gives you a deeper understanding of why I would like to become a teacher. Myself, like most other people in our area, started school at the young age of 5. I was, as you can see from the picture, I was a very happy kid and always excited to learn. The elementary schools which I attended were Jefferson and Central Elementary. The grades in Jefferson included grades kindergarten through 4th grade, and Central was kind of like an elementary school that helped you transition from the elementary to the middle school, which involved grades 5th and 6th grade. In Jefferson, I had the privilege of attending half-day kindergarten, and we actually transitioned from the Armory in Jerome, where we had first started having kindergarten, and then moved over to the main Jefferson building. I transitioned to Central after 4th grade, where I continued my elementary education and preparation for middle school. Some of my fondest memories were at Central. That is where I began to get my feel out there for leadership roles and really started to enjoy school. After elementary school, I began at the middle school. Yes, in the picture it says the Jerome School District, but this building used to be the middle school for as long as I could remember, and just recently it was converted into the district office after they rebuilt a new middle school in Jerome. Here in middle school was where I started to find my love for teaching and found my passion, which was in physical education. It was thanks to my 8th grade PE teacher, Mr. Mowers, that really instilled in me my love of teaching and a passion of helping others learn about my passion. For some, they do not always think of high school as their best years in school, but for me, I really enjoyed high school. I had lots of friends. I enjoyed my classes, had lots of great teachers that helped me become the person I am today. While there, I became a member of the student council. I was a peer tutor. I found my love for helping out in the classroom as a teacher's aide, as an extracurricular activity in the school for some extra credits. I was able to take dual classes, which helped me after I graduated when I decided to attend college. When it came time to graduate, I graduated as a member of the National Honor Society, and for those who don't know, that is graduating with a 3.5 or higher GPA, and that was something I was really proud of, and I strived to continue on with as I entered into college. High school, I decided to continue my education and enrolled myself into the College of Southern Idaho, where I attended for 2 years until I got married, and then I was no longer able to go after we decided to start a family. 10 short years later, I decided to make my return to the college where I am currently attending. I am on my final year at the college to finish up my associates and to also get my paraprofessional certificate, to begin working at the schools and helping out teachers in the classroom. Like many adults, I have had many jobs over the past many years. Starting out, I was a babysitter, like most girls, young girls especially, who hit the age of 12 and older. The perfect job for them was to either babysit siblings at home or friends and neighbors of the family. I did this on weekends for our neighbors that had 4 kids for a couple of years until I began my job at Sun Valley Aviation, which is a private airport where I worked as what was called a line hostess, and I was given the opportunity to help with the maintenance or upkeep of the main office and lobby where all of the passengers and the pilots of the private airplanes would come in and relax. I would also get to help out with parking cars and bringing out food and taking luggage off airplanes and helping to park them. This was probably one of my most favorite jobs that I have ever had, and is one that I wish I could have continued with, but I needed something closer at the time, which was my reason after 5 summers of working there to stop working there and to find something closer to home. After I left Sun Valley Aviation, I got a local job at a dry cleaners called Summit Dry Cleaners, where I worked for a year, my freshman year of college, which was a great job. It was a great college kid job. That summer I left, and that next fall I got a job at Target where I worked as a cashier on the main floor and as a barista in their Starbucks here in Twin Falls. I had never worked in a coffee shop before, and it was an awakening, but it was a very fun job, and it had very flexible hours, which was also still great as I was in my second year of school. That following summer, I began working at Cold Stone Creamery in Twin Falls, where I was a shift manager. I was in charge of opening and closing, making sure cakes and ice creams were done and the store was cleaned up and tills were balanced. That job only lasted me the summer, like I said, and then I was able to get back on with the dry cleaners, where I stayed for 3 years as a store manager with the same responsibilities of opening and closing, balancing tills, checking in dirty linens, and handing out the clean ones. I left the dry cleaners after I had my second son and decided to become a stay-at-home mom, which worked out great. I loved being home with my kids. After I had my third son, I decided to run an in-home daycare to help out friends and family who were still having to work and weren't able to stay home like I was. And I did this for 6 years until this recent year, where since I am now in my final year of school, I decided to become a substitute teacher at the Jerome School District, since my kids are in school. And let me tell you, I absolutely love being a substitute teacher. I love hanging out with all the kids and being able to see their smiles every day. It is just an amazing atmosphere to be around, and I would not change it for the world. All through my growing up years, my parents did their best to instill in me and my sisters the importance of doing service. Whether it was walking up and down our street, which was not technically a street, it was a road since we lived out in the middle of the country, and it was just big, long, open country roads. which was amazing. And we would go out as a family and with garbage bags and pick up trash along the side of the road. My mother especially, she had a knack for finding out when people were in need of a meal, and we would take them food whenever it was needed without ask. Or we would also help the elderly with yard care. And my parents made sure that we were there to help no matter what we said contrary to the matter. Some of my fondest memories as a kid were those walks and the roses we would get from this elderly lady in our church for helping weed her garden. And let me tell you, her rose garden was enormous, but her roses smelled amazing. We always loved coming home with these huge bouquets of these lovely roses. Now, as an adult, it is my opportunity to instill these same values into my kids. I help to provide meals for those who need them. We help out at funeral services in our church, and this past week we had the opportunity to help at the soup kitchen, and here in Jerome. My two youngest, which are 4 and 6, were not able to come, but I did take my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old with us, and I figured they are old enough, and it is a great opportunity for them to serve. There are so many out there that need this help. They at first did grumble a little bit about it because it was later at night and they had homework to do, but I knew that they would enjoy themselves. After we were done with serving the meal, my oldest one actually came up to me and asked when we could do it again. And he had heard us talk about the next time we would be able to was for Thanksgiving, when we get together and we serve a big Thanksgiving meal for the community for those who need a warm meal. And I was so happy that he found the joy in service, especially the same feeling that I had when I was his age. When it comes to extracurricular activities, for as long as I can remember, I loved playing softball. My parents, especially my mom, would always make sure to sign us up at the rec department here in Jerome, and you could start playing t-ball at the young age of 5 and go up until actually middle school. And every year during the summer for 6 weeks, I would play softball. And then as soon as I hit high school, the first year I was a little too nervous to try out for the softball team. But my sophomore through senior year of high school, I joined the team, and it was the best part of the school year. I loved being on the team. Now that I am out of high school and no longer a part of these teams, I now have some new hobbies and extracurricular activities that I enjoy doing, which include running and going to all my kids' sporting events in my free time. It always amazes me as we get older how our focuses change. We still enjoy the same things that we did when we were younger, but we now find new things that pique our interest. I still love softball, but as a mom of 4 boys, it kind of sits on the back burner, and now when I play it is when we get together and have family gatherings with my family and all of their families. When taking into consideration my history of service events and other extracurricular activities, all of these things have helped me to develop my no-quit attitude that I now have. Every day it helps to remind me to never give up on a student no matter how much I may be struggling that day. The main thing that all the service I have done has taught me that it is so much better to give than to receive. The good feeling you get after doing service is the best reward you can ever receive. And as a reminder, it just goes back to working in the soup kitchen and the feeling my son had after being there for, it wasn't even very long, for just an hour and a half, and he came away beaming, and it was just that feeling of doing something good for someone else. When I tell people that I want to go into the education field, I sometimes get the question of, why do you want to become an educator? And when did you first think that you really, really wanted to do this? And when I think back, the first time I thought about ever becoming a teacher was in 8th grade with that PE teacher, Mr. Mowers. He showed me how fun it could be, and it made me love that part of education and made me want to teach others that same passion for it. The main reason I decided to become a teacher was because, like I said, I found my love of teaching others, and I love being around kids. They are such a light. They just bring so much joy to the room. But one of my major reasons, as you can see in my pictures, are my 4 boys, especially my 6-year-old. He was born premature, and he struggles every day, mostly physically, to do things that we find simple. He is a smart boy. He's got cerebral palsy and hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain. He has had 15 surgeries in the last 7 years of his life. But yet, as you can tell from the pictures, he never lets it get him down. He is always smiling. And because of this boy, that's when I truly decided I wanted to become a para, so that I could be close at hand if there is ever a problem with him. So if the school ever needed help, I was there. And then I saw how much fun he had at school, and it made me want to be that teacher that makes that kid so happy. Excuse me. And I decided way back when, if I wasn't going to become a teacher, the only thing that I may do in return was to become an accountant, because in high school and in middle school I loved math. It was one of my second favorite subjects besides PE, and I was always good with numbers. But my number one passion was always education. When I think long term and I think of the goals I have as an educator, some of the long term goals I want to have is to eventually become a teacher. Yes, I know that'll be still a couple years down the road, as I am a working mom. I've got 4 kids, and I am doing this part-time, but I know eventually I will get there, and I eventually want to become a secondary education teacher with a major in math and a minor in biology. Some of the short-term goals I look at are to finally finish up this para certificate that I have been working on for the last 3 years, which will be such a great feeling to have that one finally completed. And as I complete my para certificate, I will also be finishing up my associates in education, which has been in the works since the fall of 2006. So it has been a long time coming. And it is something I am so excited to finish up with. And in our class this last week, we were asked, what is our philosophy? And it took me a minute to realize, or to think about it, but my philosophy is just to do your best in all you're doing, and the rest will fall into place. And I see that every day. I sometimes think, why am I going to school? This is kind of hard being a mom and a a student again. But everything has been falling right into place and working out like it should. I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.